Welcome, everybody. In this session, we will continue exploring more comprehension reading strategies, and I would like to start by introducing um, activating and using background knowledge. So background knowledge is something that we already know. Any information, in this case, I see it in two ways. First, the form, and then the content. And you see, it says that it helps us to identify word meaning, text organization, and printed concepts. What do they mean? We have some knowledge about how certain text looks like. um, an email, the content of an email, you already have an image of how that text is organized. And you also have an idea of how a poem is written. Another example would be a recommendation letter. So you know those formats. And where you are going to read that type of text, you kind of know how the text has been manipulated. The other idea about background knowledge is your experiences. And linguists say that as people navigate the world, they develop a large network of knowledge structure. And let us exemplify it with the idea a child has for a dog. When we are little, we think of a dog as the family pet, as that furry buddy that we caress, we hug, and that we play with, right? However, as we become older, we gain knowledge that there are different dog breeds, that probably the dog that you have will need a special diet and will need to eat a special food. So you go and look for different brands. You analyze what this brand contains, and if it fits or if it suits the necessity of your pet, you also become aware of the concept of a vet. How often you are going to take your pet to the veterinarian. Yes, we also get to know that not all of the breed dogs are friendly. Some dogs need a special treatment. And you see, as you grow, your perception of a dog changes. Okay, so your perception of a dog is broader. Okay, that's what happens in different situations in our life, and how we connect those experiences with something we will read. Another strategy is that we ask questions. We ask questions about what we are reading. As we start reading, there will be some content that for us is like, but why is the writing bringing that example? Why is the writer using that specific word in that situation? Or why is the writer describing in such a way this or that character? And this exercise will help us to integrate information, identify main ideas, and summarize the text. Again, it will help us to clarify any confusing information. We make inferences. This has to do with just the concept of seem beyond to what we have in the text. Okay, and it requires the readers to evaluate and draw conclusions. Also, this is another point, that some information may be hidden, and this may happen in those police novels like Agatha Christie. Uh, just to captivate the attention of the reader, there are situations that they do not deepen, and that it makes you think, hey, what could have happened here? Again, the idea of reading between the lines, things that are not there, but we can make an inference about that. And there's this example about the text may say, she noticed some cars that looked familiar in the parking lot. As soon as she walked through the door, she heard, surprise! Okay, so let us analyze it. She noticed some cars that looked familiar in the parking lot. So, she was probably in a mall. She was probably outside a restaurant, outside of a cafeteria. It can be any place with a parking lot. You know that. So it says that she walks through the door and she heard, surprise! So what can you infer? Well, maybe the people inside that place were her friends or were some relatives. She heard surprise. Wow, maybe they had prepared a birthday surprise party. It may be, or she got promoted in her job and they are celebrating the event that she was promoted. And they wanted to make her feel good with this surprise dinner, surprise lunch, surprise gathering. Okay, so you see, those are things that is not written there, but right now we just made an inference about that information that we were given in the text, and that is something you can do with the material that gets to your hands. Okay. Yeah, and that's a skill that writers develop. Like, they really do not tell you what will happen, what is happening. You just have to interpret it. Okay. Prediction. Yes. Readers make meaning from a text by making informed predictions. Um, Based on what you have started reading, you can make predictions about what's coming next. And I will keep on using the Agatha Christie example. Her novels are full of enthralling events, and as you navigate, or as you start reading her novels, so there's a lot of information that you start thinking, hey, what's going to happen next? Okay. This connection of existing knowledge to new information from a text, you have already started reading, and that amount of text that you have been reading, it will give you more opportunities to create an idea of what's coming next. Predictions may come from what you know about the author. Agatha Christie is an expert in writing police novels, detective novels. And the title triggers memories from similar text. You might have read other novels from Agatha Christie, or any writer that is also into police novels or detective novels. During the prediction process, readers predict what is going to happen and the ideas that the writer is going to use to support arguments. In summarizing, well, this is just to pull together information and you say it in your own words. Again, when you summarize, you are more you develop knowledge about the organization of the text. And these are some examples that in expository text, a way of summarizing is that you condense steps in a scientific process, the stages of development of an art movement, or the episodes that led to some major historical events. When you have all these text that is telling you about history, about a scientific experiment. In narrative text, well, when you summarize, you connect and synthesize events in a storyline, or you identify the factors that motivate characters, actions, and behavior. Visualization, this is all about creating mental images. Some texts are really good in making you visualize, in creating in your mind images. Okay. One of the writers that really stimulates my imagination and my visualization is Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I mean, if you have the opportunity to read his novels, it is just amazing. I mean, he describes those settings in the savannah of Colombia, and it's really cool because you can see the rivers, you can see the boats, people suffering because of certain illness. I'm really thinking about El amor en tiempos del cólera. So that was really cool to me because he was guiding me to all of these settings, that how much people suffered, the relationship the guy developed with different women. So that was really cool. I was always thinking or visualizing places. So that's amazing. And you see, it's very useful in narratives because you can imagine, you can just have a picture of the setting, the characters, and actions in a plot. Yes, in expository texts, you visualize the steps in a process or stages in an event. You create an image to help remember those abstract concepts. And I go back to making those experiments in chemistry, that they guide you how to, the process of creating certain chemicals, certain reactions. So that really helps, that visualization part. And thank you so much for watching me.